Many studies have concluded that temperament is predominantly determined by nature. Research such as Thomas and Chess's pattern model and Rothbart's dimension model demonstrate measurable factors of temperament as early as when a child is born. Further studies from Rothbart and her colleagues Evans and Hardy show evidence to the biological factors of temperament. During a laboratory assessment, they used different stimuli on over 64 infants aged 3, 6, 9, and 13 months old to prompt different reactions such as smiling, laughter, fear, and frustration. They measured attention, soothability, and the duration of positive and negative effects. Through a combined study of parent interviews and laboratory assessments, the experimenters found stability in measures from 3 to 13 months for smiling, laughter, fear, and overall distress. Rothbart and her colleagues' studies of infant temperament provide evidence supporting the dominance of nature in child temperament by highlighting the innate biological predispositions that shape early temperamental traits, such as emotional responses to different stimuli.
As per mentioned, an individual's temperament is predetermined by nature. This argument is strongly backed by twin and adoption studies that identical twins and non-adoptive siblings share more similarities than fraternal twins and adoptive siblings. And while there are no real patterns for heritability, the stats tend to fall between 0.2 to 0.6. And according to Malt's longitudinal twin study, substantial changes in temperament occur in the second year of life, which led to the proposal suggesting that the continuity of early temperament is mediated by genetics, while the developmental changes that occur across time are due to non-shared environmental influences. This finding can also be supported by Dyson's study, which demonstrated how a better quality relationship between parent and child through positive parenting can boost positive emotions, leading to a less reactive and more emotionally stable child. Therefore, although a child's disposition may be determined by nature, parents or caregivers are able to minutely shape its development through placing them under a stable environment and providing healthy guidance.
The argument for nature and its influence in personality development emphasizes the implications of findings from genetic and neurobiological studies on the human brain. One example is a longitudinal study conducted by Jing Liu using the Big Five measurement system to assess phenotypic personality traits and perceived stress. The findings of his longitudinal cross-sectional evaluation of identical and non-identical twins suggest that a prolonged perception of stress was largely influenced by genetic factors, with similar results derived from identical twins whether they were in a shared or non-shared environment. This would suggest that there is a genetic element in the composition of personality traits and highlights an interplay between genetic and environmental interactions directing personality development and behavior. A significant amount of evidence suggests that the phenomenon of intergenerational trauma has a significant genetic basis, in that the experience of severe trauma, especially during childhood development, physically alters the genetic makeup of the human mind. Through this, their offspring become biologically dispositioned to inheriting personality traits reflective of trauma responses. For instance, they may have a lower resilience to stress. The presence of a personality disorder within the parent also increases a child's risk of inheriting this by 40 to 60%.
Customs and practices of child rearing and parenting differently define across each culture in respect to norms of expected behaviors. In support of the Bandura social learning theory, we find that a child's personality is intrinsically defined by cultural pressures such as norms, values, and expectations as they form personalities through imitation and reinforcement. From just 8 months of age, children develop observational learning through perceiving and imitating, and by 18 months, children can recall first encounter experiences through reward and punishment. In the study of Milder and colleagues 2023, ethnographic study in China revealed that early behavioral inhibition positively predicted social competence and social achievement through the authoritarian parenting style. Cultural guidelines on social norms, ethics, moral values that stimulate one's environment ultimately creates a variety of experiences that a child encounters all throughout life. The indentation of diverse first-hand experiences therefore sustains a child's character throughout adulthood.
Social norms are rules and guidelines that are shared standards of acceptable behavior by groups. They can discourage young people from certain behaviors, identities, and characteristics, leading to the advancements of negative stereotyping. From an early age, children are placed into the gender roles that have been curated by society, like the masculinity and femininity norms, the various socializing agents such as family, friends, and educational institutes. When these norms are broken or mismanaged, people are often looked down upon and in some cultures excluded, which leads to increases in social isolation rates in young people. The Boba doll experiment found that children who observed aggressive adults were more likely to imitate aggressive behavior they see, compared to the non-aggressive section. Boys were also more likely prone to imitate the aggressive behavior than girls, which is a direct representation of how both males and females were encouraged to respond to certain situations. It again supports that when children are surrounded by people who impose expectations and stereotypes on their behaviors, personality development becomes conformed as they grow older.